Hello, scaredy cats. Did you miss me? Welcome or welcome back to Are You Scared? This podcast is brought to you by the WGW Network. This podcast is where I share scary stories that I found from the dark corners of the net. And I give full credit to the writers. Anyway, scaredy cats, let's get into our longest story, also our 9th story. This story is called The Headless Woman of Kasara Ghat. Okay. It was posted by Mandahrk on Reddit. Okay. I was sleeping when she died, drooling and drifting from one hazy dream to another, blissfully unaware of the struggles that were her last breath. I wouldn't have done it if not for what had happened to her, for what did happen to her. Was it redemption that I was seeking? Deliverance, perhaps? Or maybe just a good night's sleep? I don't know. I guess I'll never know. My father always used to say that you can never really be a good judge of your own intentions. So you should just stop trying. I didn't go looking for it. It came to me by pure chance while I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook, rolling an empty bottle of whiskey under my foot, my sweat stale with the stench of its contents. I paused to flex my aching thumb. There it was, the text practically screaming at me. The Headless Woman of Kasara Ghat. The nightmare that makes your dreams come true. It was the turn of phrase that caught my attention. Just something about that contrasting imagery of dreams and nightmares, of rainbows melting into rolling black skies, that resonated with me so suddenly and so deeply that I found myself repeatedly thumbing my phone's screen. Before I realized what I was doing, the link took me to a garbage ad-riddled website. The kind that has white text slattered on a black background, and 2 pop-up ads ready to slap your face if you dare let your thumb slip. Yet my curiosity made me soldier on. My eyes flew over the text, my heartbeat growing faster and faster the deeper I got into the article. Have you ever lost someone you love? Wish you could talk to them one last time? Look no further. The Headless Woman of Kasara Ghat is here to take care of your deepest desires. Kasara Ghat, situated on Mumbai-Nasik Highway. It's said to be one of the most haunted streets of road in India today. It is infamous for having been the site of innumerable fatal accidents over the years, and for being used as a dumping ground for multiple murder victims. Needless to say, a restless soul haunts Kasara Ghat, and chief amongst them, the one that makes the Ghat one of the most dangerous places to visit, is the Headless Woman. Countless travelers have fallen victims to this terrifying woman who stalks this windy, hilly road, using the cover of darkness to lure her prey. Only when she enters the vehicle do the good Samaritans realize just what kind of monster they've invited into their abruptly shortened lives. But wait! It's not all hopelessness. For before the woman rips her benefactors to shreds, she lets them speak to their dead loved ones one last time. And how does she do that, you ask? By taking the appearance of the deceased. Of course, that's right. The headless woman grows a head. One with the appearance, memories, and personalities of her praised loved ones. So, at least those poor souls get to have a moment of Kasara before their lives are ended in a most brutal manner. I had to stop reading at that point. The cocktail of sweat and tears swirling in my eyes had made the text too blurry to read. Something had caught my heart in a vice like a grip. What was it, though? Fear? Adrenaline? Hope? What was I doing? Had I gotten so desperate that I was willing to put my faith in some stupid urban legend? The answer bloomed in my mind before the question could fully take shape. I forced some spit up my throat to wet my parched mouth and rubbed my eyes raw before continuing reading. You might be wondering, what's the point of talking about the headless woman if all that awaits you after an encounter with her is certain death? After all, there are numerous other monsters out there who would gladly rob you of your life. So what makes this one so special? Well, the thing that makes the headless woman so special is that there's a way to survive a meeting with her, to have a heart-to-heart chat with your deceased loved ones without later joining them in the afterlife. A foolproof method that guarantees your survival while getting what you want. It took a lot of trials, a lot of failures, and sacrifices to discover this method. So rest assured, it works. Be warned, there is no room for error here. Even the slightest deviation from steps as they are laid down here will cause your chances of survival to drop down to 0. The headless woman is a vicious and cunning creature. She doesn't like being played with and will mete out the most extenuating punishment imaginable if given the slightest room to maneuver. So, read steps carefully. Then read them again and again and again until they've been chiseled into your memory, and then again, them again. Now you've read and internalize the warnings. You can move on and actually read the steps that you need to follow to safely meet the headless woman of Kasara Ghat. Use a car, not a bike. I repeat, do not use a bike, for it will get you killed very quickly. Travel after midnight, 12:30 a.m. to 1:45 a.m. is a sweet spot. Keep a bottle of chilled cocoon juice with you and a clean glass. Make sure your doors are locked and your windows are rolled down, even if it's raining. Turn on your radio. If your car doesn't have one, get one. Switch to the AM band. You must not tune in to any station, just static, pure white noise. Use your turn signal the opposite cliffside so it looks like you're preparing to lunge into the valley. Keep it switched on. Every 500 meters, slow down, but do not stop. And press on your horn for a good 5 seconds before speeding off. Use this odometer of your car or distance measuring app on your phone. Be precise as possible. Keep doing this until you see the headless woman. However, do not pick her up. It's not the right time to do so. Drive past her. About a kilometer away, you should see her again. This is where you stop and pick her up. Remember, this is about her appearing on the road not you spotting her. If you miss seeing her the first time and drive past her the second time, you will die. Don't worry. You have the radio to warn you. When it starts going crazy, you know she's close. And you know to be ready and keep your eyes peeled. Again, stop when you see her the second time. Do not move from your seat. Wait for her to get in. Do not stare at her. It would be wise to turn your rearview mirror away from her. She's not shy. Sooner or later, she'll make you look at her. Pour out the cucumber juice in the glass and offer it to her. Once she takes it from you, start driving. And that's it. There's no more rules or instructions because each encounter from this point onwards is different. Survival now depends on your luck and ingenuity. And the headless woman's mood. Best of luck. I hope you find what you seek. Any other day, I would have laughed at myself for thinking that this could be real, let alone contemplating actually going through with this. But this isn't any other day. I wasn't rationally and psychologically stable individual. I had been all my life. No, I was fundamentally broken, that I was willing to do whatever it took to get one last chance to speak to her, to beg for her forgiveness, to tell her I loved her, to ask if she hated me. Most of my liquor-induced numbness had drained, though my sweat glands by this point. I pushed myself out of my chair and went and grabbed a pad and pen from my study where I jotted down the rules before making a list of everything that I would have to do to make this trip happen. It took about 3 weeks before I was ready to go to Kasara Ghat. I was living in Pune at that time, which was 5 hours away from my destination, pretty much necessitating a short leave from work, which was understandably, though a bit surprisingly easy to get. I left my house at 5, and on a grim Saturday evening, black clouds had been growling in the sky all throughout the day. And they started spitting the second I rolled out of our apartment building to underground parking. The drizzle turned into a deluge by the time I left the city, punding the car with impenetrable sheets of water. I had never seen a rain as relentless and vicious as that, not since the floods of 2005. I thank the stars that I was able to make it out of the city before the skies truly opened up their black bellies. Getting stuck in a storm-induced traffic would have put a quick end to my plans and driven me deeper into those familiar quicksands of depression. Sitting all alone in that car, surrounded by the din of traffic, would have reminded me of those times I spent with her, singing old Kasara Ghat songs and giggling at WhatsApp forwards while cars and buses crawled along a snail's pace beside us. It was funny how the little things hit you when you least expect them to, how memories that seem insignificant at the time of their creation become priceless when the person you made them with is gone. I squeezed the foam-covered steering wheel and pressed my foot down on the accelerator. Black wiper blades trembled across the windshield as the car plunged through translucent walls of water. Time ticked by. Knotty concrete jungles gave away to sprouting waterlogged rice fields. The sun, hidden by a raggedy gray-black veil, slid beneath the hills far up ahead. The rain became pettering out, turning from an endless wash to a heavy drizzle that peppered my roof. Soon I found myself navigating the narrow roads, wobbling the hills that rose up out of the ground like mozzie stone teeth, reaching up into the dark sky as if wanting to devour it. Darkness fell upon the land. I switched my headlights on. Grains of water shivered in the bright beams that splashed on the wet asphalt as I drew closer and closer to my destination. I stopped a good couple kilometers away from the stretch of the road that was marked as Kasara Ghat on Google Maps. Pulled off the road. When I found a space to do so, there was still an hour left until midnight. An hour that I spent asking myself, what was I doing right out here? How foolish could I be? Nothing would come from chasing ghosts like this, right? But if it did, I tried to take a nap, pushed my sheet down, threw my head back, and squeezed my eyes shut. If it didn't work, of course, how could it? With my heart hammering my chest like it wanted to shatter my ribcage, I sat back up, shook my head, and began counting the seconds to midnight. An extraordinary activity, true, but somehow it was less painful than letting my mind wander over the past. 12:28 a.m. I turned the ignition key. The car purred to life, sliced through mud and wet grass as it climbed onto the road. The last stretch of the journey began. My face erupted in sweat. Just a little more and I would have answers, or one or another, hopefully. The blue lines of Google Maps grew shorter and shorter. I rolled all my windows down, felt my skin prickle with goose flesh as rain lashed my arm. The blue line continued to grow shorter. It was smaller than my thumb now. I switched on the radio. A crackle of static filled the car. The blue line had almost disappeared by this point. I stole a glance at the view outside my window and saw an old Tinic and Keem trees brooding over the road before falling away into a valley rooted in shadows. Turned to the right signal on. The blue line vanished. A monotone voice blared from my phone, informing me that I had arrived at my destination. I slowed the car down, took a deep breath, and pressed down on the horn, my hand trembling. The noise tore through the radio static and drumming of the rain on the roof. Here we go. I sped up again after taking a peek at the odometer. How long would it take for her to appear? I wondered as I leaned forward and frowned in concentration. The rain and darkness had brought visibility down to almost nothing. Fear tightened my chest. Would I be able to see her in this weather? The odometer ticked 5 times as I wove my way through the windy road. I slowed down and blew the horn before picking up speed again. Still hadn't seen her. How long would I have to do this before I would, though? Or had I already driven past her? Was she in the car then? Ready to tear my throat out for failing the process? My eyes shot over the rearview mirror. Thankfully, I had turned it away from the back seat. Another 500 meters had me slowing down to blow the horn again. Then another 500 meters. Then another and another. My nerves were tangled. Fraying mess, sagging a rusted pole. just seconds away from a total disaster. 500 more passed by. I prepared to slow the car down, and that's when it happened. The wash of the radio static exploded into high-pitched whine. The noise of gigantic whistling tea kettle. I gritted my teeth as tears threatened to spill from my eyes. I felt like my ears were a chalkboard that someone was scratching with a dozen nails. Yet I didn't tear my attention away from the road. I thanked the stars that I didn't. For that's when I spotted her. She was standing on the side of the road wearing a blue-black Patahani sari. A bolt of fear jolted my spine. She didn't have a head. Dear God, she didn't have a head. A flood of shivers racked my body. How? How is this possible? How could this be real? It couldn't be real. But if she was real, then no. I scolded myself. Do not get distracted. Focus on the task. As I tried to do so, a flash fear gripped my heart. What was I supposed to do? Do I continue slowly driving down every 500 meters like I had been doing until now? Or do I just keep driving until I see her again? What did the rules say about that? I wanted to pull out the pad and check for myself, but I couldn't afford to do so. Couldn't afford to pull my eyes off the road. Couldn't dare slow down. Couldn't afford to let the 500 slip by. 500 meters. Panic threatened to send me spiraling as I looked at the odometer. I had forgotten to keep track of the distance. How much distance had I covered since the last time I blew the horn? I wanted to slow down to get my bearings back, but I was terrified. Would doing so ruin the process? Was I only allowed to slow down while blowing the horn? That's it. I was going to die. And just then, it felt like I was doomed. It clicked in my brain. The numbers came floating back. 500 meters. I was on the mark. Immediately pressed the brakes and slowed down the car, blew the horn, shifted gears, and picked up the speed again. I was safe. For now. The road took me over a stone bridge and toward another thickly forested hill. I was wide alert. Kept sneaking glances at the odometer while scanning the sides of the road for the headless woman. 500 meters went by. I slowed the car down again, blew the horn, and just when my foot touched the accelerator, the radio static turned into a keen cry once again, making my heart almost leap out of my mouth. There she was, standing under what it looked like to be a mango tree. I would have swallowed some spit if I had any left in my mouth. I pulled the car onto the side of the road, brought it to a halt close to her. What next? Should I open the door for her? Or would she do it herself? I looked at her out of the corner of my eye. I didn't have courage to turn my neck. I couldn't see anything above her chest from that angle. She was standing too close to the car. For the tense couple of seconds, nothing happened. I wonder if I had done something wrong. Had I missed a step? Why wasn't anything happening? Then she moved. I heard the back door open. Felt a rush of cold wind and rain on the back of my neck. Heard the jingling of the glass bangles and the sound of the leather seat shifting under someone's weight. Then the door swung shut. I turned the ignition key. The juice! I reached over the passenger seat and grabbed the glass and the bottle with hands keen of that Parkinson's patient. I poured the cocoon juice and awkwardly tried to hand it to her without turning back. Here, I croaked. Please have some. Her hand caressed mine. It was calloused and cold as ice. Made a shudder run through me all over again. As she took the glass from me, I started the car and began driving. My head was a stone of questions. What now? How do I get her to talk to me? To my dead wife? Should I wait for her to speak? Or should I broach the topic myself? It wasn't words that started it all. However, no, it was the noise that did. Gut-churning sounds issued from the backseat, a crushing of bones and water spurting out of a plastic pipe that has its mouth squeezed tight between two fingers. I cranked my neck just an inch and gaped at what happened back there. Just as I thought, the woman was growing ahead. Blood sprouted out of her neck, which was now the site of the birth of a new skull. Bones and ropes of wet flesh shot out of the hole between her shoulders and started melding into one another, forming a sinewy outline of a human head. I whipped my head back around and focused on the road, trying not to pay attention to the sounds emanating from the back seat as they were threatened to make me empty my stomach's contents. The noise seemed to continue for hours, though I'm sure it mustn't have nearly that long. Finally, it came to an end. Anticipating, tried desperately to sweep aside the fear in my belly. I cleared my throat. Rajav. I sucked in a shallow breath. There, that voice. Oh, how I longed to hear it again. How I hated the fact that I never would. Feared I would soon forget what it sounded like. Naina. I whispered. Tears gushed freely down my face. Is that really you? Yes. Who else could it be? I could hear the pain, the happiness, even a touch of fear in her voice. It was her. It was really her. My heart sang, God, I've missed you so much. Me too, I love you, she replied. I love you too, I answered, then broke into a deep chest sobs. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Shh, it's okay, she said. I shook my head. No, it's not. It's not okay. I should have listened to you. Believed you. If I had, things wouldn't have turned out this way. It's okay, Rajav, she said again. Please don't cry. How can I not? I failed you. I am a failure as a husband, as a man. Rajav, look at me. I wiped the tears off my face. Please, Rajav, look at me. I slowed the car down, put my arm around the back of the passenger seat and turned around, seeing that she was surrounded in shadows, flipping the car's dome light on, blasting the interior with a dull golden glow. My breath trembled at what I saw. She looked so beautiful. Gently curved lips as a hooked nose, covered with small silver rings, flowing hair that brushed her shoulders. It took everything I had to stop the car and jump into the back seat to take her into my arms. I didn't even care that the blood soaked her sari. But then she started speaking. Please don't cry, Jarav. Her soft voice issued between her lips. There's no use crying because I'm already dead. My spine tingled. Felt like 100 sliders were crawling down my back. The way she said it was so unnatural. Her mouth moved in a lifeless, mechanical manner. It was like it was being worked by a ventriloquist, while her vacant, unblinking eyes seemed to be gazing into something far, far away. I felt a sob rack my chest. This was wrong. This is not what I wanted. I wanted to speak to my wife, not some monster. I tried to tear my eyes away from this thing, but I found to my horror that I couldn't. Something was forcing me to look at her. Every single muscle in my body tightened up. I was completely frozen, except for my right hand, which moved the steering wheel without my consent. Yes, Rajav, I'm dead. The way her honey-sweet voice contrasted with her terrifying visage drove me to the brink of madness. You came here because you wanted to know whether I was really being hunted by a monster like I told you, didn't I? Well, I was. I tried to shrink away the fear. The unbelievable force looking me in place only grew stronger, more painful. My arms and legs and neck and shoulder burned like they were being crushed by tight bands of iron. I felt like a burst of pain in my right leg as it was forced to press down on the accelerator. You didn't believe me, did you? You saw me lose weight, saw the light go out of my eyes, and yet you didn't believe me. You saw those claw marks on my back, and you thought I had done it to myself, that I was losing my mind. Tears of blood ran down her eyes that had not yet blinked once. Her lips quivered an impossible long time. The car continued to pick up speed. You locked me up in a hospital, Rajav, for my own good, yes? You swore that you'll stay with me no matter what. But when I needed you the most, when that thing came for me, you weren't even there. I died alone and afraid. A scream tried to rip from my throat, but my body wouldn't allow it. The torrent of wind that slapped my neck reminded me just how dangerously fast the car was going. Is that fair? It isn't, right? Don't you think that you should make up for it? Please, I tried to say, but what came out was a pathetic whistled breath. You know what? There's only one way you can make up for it, don't you? Tears flowed unabated down my cheek. Yes, only one way. You must die. My heart sank into my belly as I felt my arm give a single sharp tug to the steering wheel. I heard the car's tires screech and burn on the asphalt as it bumped off the road, and then felt the sudden weightlessness as it leapt into the valley. That was when I finally regained full control over my body for the final time. The next thing I remember is waking up in a hospital, battered, broken, paralyzed. That was a long story. And a scary one, too. What do you think, Anonymous number 2?
Are you scared?
I'm not scared. I'm just really sad.
What did you think about that story? Like, what got you?
Well, the part where it actually wasn't his wife, that was like confusing. And
yeah, was a little bit confusing. My back hurts. Yeah, it was a little bit confusing, but then it's like this headless person is taking over his wife's form, so it's like she kind of has the opportunity to, or like she can change what the wife thinks, kind of. I guess like no, I'm not gonna say that. But so he found these like instructions that he saw online, right? So dude. So does that mean that the person who gave the instructions had already seen the woman, or was this person just like making it up to like draw people in and get people killed? Like, seriously, I'm curious on that.
well, I think it was real, but I also think that everyone that has actually tried to do it either ended up in the hospital or died, because, well, basically, we don't really know what happened to him because he just ended up in paralyzed in a hospital. So I'm thinking
He's probably dead.
What? No. What? No.
But I don't think this story is real. Because
No, I think We don't know because you don't live in India.
He's paralyzed. Is he going to write a story on Reddit and share it to everyone?
Yeah, this is fake. But,
but it's probably like an urban legend or something. Like a myth.
Oops.
And then someone turned it into like a real story.
Well, I just want to say something real quick.
What?
I just think that, I'm just saying, I have Headless Horseman.
God. We're not talking about Roblox, okay? The Headless Horseman is a completely different story.
I'm making it text to something, okay?
Can you shush?
Making
No. Okay. I'm also kind of confused. So, well, actually, no, I'm wondering. Was the monster that was after the wife the headless woman?
No, I think the monster.
Was it? What do you think, anonymous number 2?
I think not.
Anonymous number 2 thinks yes.
I respectfully disagree with you because, well, sorry, because I think that there's an entire another person inside her body, and I think that the thing that killed her wasn't inside her body, but it was in the Headless Horseman. Or
we're not talking about Roblox.
the Headless Woman. But since this is in like India, we don't really know if it's real or not. So maybe it's fake, actually. That's what I think. That's what I'm pushing toward. It's being fake.
Well, it could also be like a myth or like a legend or something, and they're turning it into like a story, like a real thing. And also, I think... Wait, what did I think? Wait.
Can I say my theory real quick? Thank you. So I actually, my theory is that, there were some people, since he was on his Facebook, there were some people saying that they actually succeeded with this thing, request, or whatever it is.
They were probably just trying to get fame.
Shush. They succeeded with this, but I think they left out the detail that they probably ended up in the hospital, or something bad turned out wrong. Something turned out wrong.
Or they like lost their legs, or they lost their eyes, so they're like blind now or something. You know, like sometimes when people want people to do something, they leave out the bad things. Like sometimes, like restaurants or something, they try to get you to go to their restaurant, and it's like maybe they forget to tell you, oh, we got to see from the health department. What?
I just want to say something else. The people that actually said this on Facebook, I think that, well, this is not real people. No one said this on Facebook.
Someone probably could have.
Yeah, but, and someone said this on the story's Facebook, that they actually succeeded. Again, they succeeded. The guy saw it. No one told him that something bad was going to happen to him. So he went and drove off to find his dead wife and her sari, which I pictured her sari blue. And no reason why. But yeah. And it wasn't actually her, because her personality changed. And it's not how he remembered her. So, and she was basically taken over by someone different. And he spotted that. And I think the Headless Woman noted that he figured it out, what she was doing, or her like plan or whatever she was doing. And she failed, so she wanted to do something to this man. But the man didn't forget, because whatever she did, didn't kill him.
Okay.
You're confused. Of course you are.
Okay, thank you, anonymous number poop. I'm sorry. I mean it too.
Your poop.
Were you guys scared?
You have to ask it better. Were you guys
Can
scared?
you not correct me on my own podcast?
Well, that was bad. That was really bad. So, everyone, were you scared? Peace.
I know I was.
Go away.
I know I was. If you guys were scared, make sure to check out the next episode of Are You Scared? It will not be featuring anonymous number 2. I'll just make sure to let you know that.
You mean anonymous number poop?
You just called yourself poop. Make sure to check out Are You Scared?
Okay, see you, everyone. Bye.